Everyone wants more money, but most of us weren't taught how to create an abundant life. That's where the law of attraction, manifesting success stories show comes in. If you are ready to have more money, create more freedom, and experience more fun, turn the volume up. It's time to learn how to create the prosperity and life you have been dreaming of. Here's your host, Cassie Parks.
Hello and welcome to this episode. I am your host, Cassie Parks, and I'm back with Vicki Pace for her next year of growth interview. Welcome, Vicki. How are you?
Oh, I'm excellent. Thank you, Cassie. Thanks for having me.
Of course, I'm super excited. So as always, tell me something awesome.
I got a lot of rest this weekend, and I don't know. I'm just feeling great and light and fluffy and fun, and I'm so excited for life.
Yay!
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. So we kind of talked about starting with this question. Because you've definitely been, you're a couple months out from the workshop, you're actually getting ready to do another one.
Yes, I can't wait.
I know. I'm
so excited.
So how has stepping into your future self made it easier to have difficult conversations?
I think it's seeing, I think I'm more able to see the other end of the conversation, like how it's going to be once the tricky talk is over with.
Yeah.
And, the growth that you go through. Like, I just feel like you can see the light at the tunnel a little bit better when you're more in tune with your future self, knowing that like everything's taken care of. And I don't necessarily like coach myself through it. Like, it'll be fine. It's going to be great. You know, it just is like, I don't know. I guess like ripping off the Band-Aid, like, you know, it's going to heal better if it gets some fresh air.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
How have you been stepping into your future self?
The last week or so, I've physically just been taking a breath and, just taking that one extra second for me. If anything starts, I don't know, spinning or something, just that extra breath is really helpful to ground myself and reconnect with my future self. And I feel like on my phone, I have that lit, like my background is what does she do this? Does she say this, own this, that thing? But I feel like I don't actually consciously think those words in my mind. The breath I take is that reconnecting with her.
Yes.
Yeah. And that's been really helpful. Just the last like 3 or 4 days I've been doing that. And boy, it is so, so helpful.
Oh, I love it. Yeah. It starts to become your own version. Like that's sort of the evolution of the process, right? It's like, okay, these are questions I want to be asking, and you sort of start paying attention to them, and eventually it does evolve. And like for you, I love it. It's this deep breath is my reconnection, right? I have other clients that literally say like, I woke up, like they just tap right back into their script.
Yeah. And I do that sometimes too, but not all the time. Just like if I'm in the middle of a busy dinner service or something, just that quick breath, reconnect with myself and my future self and get back in it. And it's so great. And I think that breath reminds me to connect with my thoughts. Does she think this? And like, no, she chooses ease and she chooses that it's all going to be perfect. So it's fine. Just move on.
Right? I love it. She chooses it's all going to be fine. I love that. Which is, you've even gotten really good. I don't think we talked about this in the last interview, but there's been conversations where you've gone up and you've deleted things with your coworkers, right? And you're like, yeah, that's not me. I don't want that to be me, right?
Yeah, that was the first time I'd ever said it out loud. In the past, I've just like in my mind said, I'm going to delete that conversation. This is what it was instead. But with this woman at work, I don't know. I just said a story that I didn't want to continue. And like 5 minutes later, I walked up to her and I was like, hey, I'm going to delete what I said earlier and everything's great. And I'm making money. And so I'm happy. And she was like, great. That's awesome. I love it. And she just like walked away and greeted one of her tables. Like there was no drama or weirdness. It just is like, that was not what I meant to say or what I want. And this is what I want. And she was all aboard. I'm not even like super close friends with this person. It was just like a friendly coworker. And And sure enough, after that, it all service picked up and I made a lot more money.
I love it because I love that I always wanted this, right now you're in the service industry as you're stepping into full-time acting. And I always wanted that, somebody in service. I wanted to go back and be in the service industry because you can see literally how when you change your thoughts, oh, it's appearing like it's going to be a not a lot of money shift. And it goes to, I just walked out with a wad of cash shift.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's so much fun. It's almost a little addicting, the kind of the instant manifesting I do, and the fun work I get to do in those shifts, playing with my stories and exercise. What did I say? Exercising good storytelling.
Yes. Yes.
With my coworkers and in my own head too. So
yeah. Will you talk a little bit about that? So what does that look like? Exercising good storytelling, when you are in the service industry and you have a job that, you can walk out with a varying amount of money.
Mm-hmm. Each shift is a little, for me, exercise, it's like exercising your trust muscle, except with this, it's I don't know, if a lot service, okay. Let me start again. Service people tend to have a lot of stories, and they speak them out loud a lot and to each other. Almost honestly, the second they walk in the door, even without getting any tables or anything, they immediately, it's fun to see how they label the day before it starts, and then it fills all those blanks to make that true. And that's fun for me to watch. I mean, it sucks for them, but it's fun for me to see how what I'm doing is correct and right for me and working. And I start the day with that good story, even if I'm not feeling in the best, most awesome spot. It's still the words I speak are what I want more of right away at the start of the day. And then as the day continues, servers come up and say other things to me, and the exercising part is the holding your tongue, just letting it roll off your back, and either changing the subject, which I feel is an up level, and I do it sometimes, but not all the time. Most of the time I just nod and smile and move on.
Yes.
That's just super easy for me now. So the changing the subject is my next goal.
I love it. So changing the subject if another server is telling a story that you don't want to be true. So you've learned to just go, cool, that's your story. And I'm just gonna get to have that, right? Without attaching or needing to change it, which is a big deal. Because so often I think people that are practicing the law of attraction, they want to, oh my gosh, I can't have anyone around me telling a story I don't want. Right?
Yes. Yeah. And it's, that exercising, I think, has made me really good at being surrounded by other people saying all these other stories has made me extra hyper aware of my own stories and what's in my head. If somebody asked me how was the day yesterday? Did you make good money? And I said, yeah, I love money. Doesn't matter how much it is. It's just yes, it's great. It's all amazing.
Yes. Oh, I love that. I love it. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So fun. So recently, this is a very fun story that I love because it's about, it's such an up level for you in sort of how we don't have to make things happen, even when we don't think we're making things happen, or we still think we have to make things happen. So recently you were, and I'll let you tell a little bit about it, but you had an inspiration. You wanted to work with kids. And so just talk a little bit about that. And then I want to talk about what happened and sort of how the process evolved.
Yeah. Gosh, the last few months I've just been I guess getting an itch to teach kids again, work with kids again. And I haven't done anything about it. It was a thought in the back of my mind. And then last summer I think I was doing interviews at that point, but I was teaching a camp. Oh yeah, I remember.
It was your first. Yeah, that was your first interview.
Oh my gosh, that was a struggle, but we did it.
We did.
And here we are. Yeah, that same company messaged me and asked me if I was interested in the next summer. And she just came to me. There was like a seed in the back of my mind that was like, oh, I should reach out to her and see if she does need a teacher. I just like forgot about it. I don't know. I didn't consciously say no, set it aside. It kind of went away. And so she reached out to me, which was super cool. And then I have some like show conflicts that I don't know if she'll be able to work with, which is, it's fine. And I, like you and I did some coaching on it. Like, should I adjust some things, like reach out to her, negotiate a little? And we decided to just let it be and let it sort of simmer in the background. And then a couple days later, or maybe it was like a day later, it was real quickly.
Yeah.
A family reached out to me and asked me if they would if I could carpool their kid to rehearsals for the next show, which is, it's Oliver. So there's a lot of children in it. And I realized, like, going through the steps of meeting her and like seeing their house and meeting them, it wasn't until a day or two later that I was like, oh, is this like the opportunity I get to work with kids? Is like, it's an hour drive each way. So it's like a lot of quality time with kids sitting in the car, like, and not that I'm going to be like coaching them or working with them, but like just that time together with children.
Mm-hmm.
And especially since she'll be in theater and performing with me, like we'll have a lot of conversations about performing and acting and singing and dancing. And I feel like that is filling that niche for me this summer. And that was a really awesome realization. And I don't know if I told you or if you're like, wait, isn't this what you wanted? I can't remember who like nailed it on the head, but
yeah,
it was awesome.
Yeah. And yeah, it was awesome because there it was. And so often it's like, even when we get those little, like, there's just these things, breadcrumbs along the way, and they're not always the thing, right? And it was like, oh, should I go take this camp? But what do I have to give up? And what do I want more, right? And being in this whole, and like, you don't have to give up anything to get what you want. In fact, you now get paid to do what you were doing anyway, right?
Yeah, because she offered to pay my gas anytime I take her, which is fantastic. And it's funny you said like the little breadcrumbs along the way, because I realized I did have a conversation with, so this family is like a family friend of my boyfriend's best friend. So we had them over for like a dinner party.
Yeah.
Like before Christmas, I think, or during Christmas. And that was when she mentioned it. And in my head, I was like, yeah, okay. I doubt that's going to follow through. Like, okay. You know, those conversations you have with people, you're like,
right.
Okay, we're just being nice. But, and then she reached out of the blue and it came through. Like I did nothing. They reached out to me. It was super cool.
I love it. The best part about that is I did nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And how did that feel when you were like, oh, this just all got created, like really in a lot of ways, I think better, not even maybe better than you could imagine, but in a way you totally couldn't have imagined.
Yeah. And I think that's such a great example of letting go of the how and allowing the universe to deliver in whatever way is easiest and fastest. And I think once or twice you told me, like way back in the beginning, something like let it go, because imagine how sweet it could be, that moment when it is delivered in a way you never thought possible. And that was that moment for me, realizing like, oh my God, I never would have, like in my how brain, I never could have imagined this being the solution.
Yeah. Right. And how does it feel to like not have to still have sort of summer open for what you really, really want, or the opportunities that you want to come in?
It feels amazing. And since then I've had like another big opportunity, sort of like a big audition I had that went super well, and that would fill up my summer. So there's like a lot of like a big wide open summer. I mean, and I have an audition today that would fill up my summer, or if none of those things work out, I'm so excited to like chill and have fun in Denver this summer and like just work and have fun. I think that would just be so much fun too. So no matter what, it's like, it's all going to work out. And it's such a like liberating, freeing feeling, not putting weight on these, I don't know, auditions. For me, I can't think of a way that it would relate to other people, but like interviews, I guess, but how freeing it is to know that no matter what, it's going to work out and it's all going to be great.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so awesome. And I remember when you said that on a call, you're like, it doesn't matter. My summer is going to be awesome. Like, I don't have to pick, because we kind of started. And I remember, I think I said something, or you said something, and you were like, I think you're going to ask me, what do I want my summer to be like, or something, right? Because we often, like, that's the basics, and that's awesome, right? When we're like, okay, what do we want this summer to look like? Okay, let's intend that and fill in. But now you're at the point where you're like, no matter what, it's going to be awesome, and it's going to be exactly amazing.
Exactly amazing. Yeah, I love that. This is the year of awesome for me. So
yes,
it is going to be awesome no matter what. And to me, it's like, it's going to fill up with awesomeness, not necessarily, it doesn't have to be the doing of anything. It just could be awesomeness. Like I could take classes this summer, like I've been wanting to do, or God, there's so many things I could do in the next like 5 months. So
just so fun. I love it. So how is being, stepping into your future self, how has that made it easier to up level that? Because you're definitely at the next level LOA right now. I feel like you're just manifesting things, you're intending them, like just cool stuff is happening.
Was the question, how does it feel, or like what am I doing?
How is stepping into your future self really helped you to up level and take that next step to?
Oh, I feel like it's the way I'm picturing it is like it's like a step up to where it's like moving into management, where you no longer have to like, micromanage all the things. You have I work in service industry mostly. So I'm thinking like, you have the servers to go greet the tables and talk to the tables. You're the one there just trusting that it's all happening like underneath you.
Yes. That's awesome. I love that.
And it's like interviewing your future self to get that job, kind of like to move up. And like, but what's really cool is you're going to get the job no matter what.
Right.
She's there.
She's there.
Yeah.
Yes. I love that. Talk about that, right? Like no matter what, she's there.
Yeah. It's, I don't know. It's like, because what we do the future stuff is a few years in the future that it's just, the more I think of it, the more like that management, that's how it feels to me, is like, I'm going to get there and everything is happening underneath me and behind the scenes to make it happen. So I don't need to go micromanage all the other things. And sometimes I'm so grateful to have you coaching us along the way, because sometimes you don't know you're micromanaging until you call it out.
Right. Right. Cause it's like, oh, this is a really great idea. And this, like, cause it doesn't seem like it. And it's like,
that's the how.
Right. That's the how.
Or sometimes you'll be like, oh, that has like a flavor of the how in it. And you're like, yeah, I guess it does. So
yeah. Right. I love it. It's so much fun. What's the best thing about being connected to your future self?
Oh, like the ease and peace. I will say, since the workshop, I've definitely had a number of days where I've resisted scripting, and I'd say like 90% of the time I push through and I do it. And it takes me like a couple seconds to really finally get into it. And yeah, I'm still like a little resistant to some of the things. So I'm excited to see what this next workshop is going to do to me. But
me too. I love it. And my favorite this morning was, because I have you guys even just script a minute, that you get that feeling. And I would love to hear for you, what is that like when you script for just 1 minute? I'm like, just do it for 1 minute. So today you did it for 1 minute and 10 seconds, which I love. I love that you're like, this is how long I did.
Right, because I was like, oh, I just got to finish this one line, and it just took me an extra couple seconds. So, it feels, oh my gosh, you know what it is? It's like it's the trust muscle.
Yes.
It's like today with this audition today, I like a part of my brain is like, oh, maybe I should do my hour scripting today and like really get in in tune with it. But another part of me is like, no, just do the assignment and you're going to be great. Like that.
Yay!
Yeah. So doing it, scripting for 1 minute or 5 minutes, like sometimes your things say to like continue if it feels good. Other times it says boom, like that's it. So, it's really exercising your trust muscle, but it's fun to like, oh, okay, I booked 20 minutes for the day to do this and I only took 2 minutes. So what's now? And it's the trust muscle. And I feel like I'm getting giddy because it's so much fun to see how great it does. Like no matter what, it all works out. And I feel like I'm just as connected to her as before.
Yes. Yay. That's the huge, I mean, that's why I put it in there like that. Cause you're right. It's the trust muscle. Like this is enough. This is all I have to do. Right. Because we're even expanding, even in the stuff that we do, we still invest a fair amount of time in your future self, but it's also then what do you do with the extra space? What do you do with the 18 minutes? Right. And it gives sort of that opportunity to create more space and allow other things to come up. So I love that. I love hearing your experience with that. And I would love to hear how has stepping into your future self made it easier to be an actor or made it less I don't, what's the term you would use?
So I'm laughing because I'm earlier on the call today. I wanted to bring it up, but it was too busy. Anyways, I was going to bring it up later, but I was going to thank you for these scripting workshops because I do like when I do an audition piece or a big solo number, or if I need to connect with my character a little bit better, I kind of script it a little. And I didn't realize this. Yeah, this is something I learned in college is like, what do we call it? I can't remember. Like do your paperwork is what they used to call it. But like you break down each beat of the scene or the song and you write the lyric and then you write what they're actually saying, their subtext. And then you write how you connect it to yourself. And then you write the verb, the action. What are they trying to do? And I did a lot of, it was yesterday. I like sat down, closed my eyes, put my feet in this character's shoes and was like, what am I trying to do to this other person? And it was so vivid and clear. And I was like, oh my God, this is just what it's like when I script. Like I can see the life and the granted, this character, I do not want to live her life, but like it's such a fun like muscle that I have available that I can touch, like just tap into at any time I want is really just finding that moment to click into that other character and be in their world. And I feel like one goes with the other. Like my acting training has helped with this. And this is now I'm finding that this is helping with that. And I also think characters in movies and plays and all that, if you break it down, most of it is pretty LOA based. I mean, most of those characters, you can find a way where how they are navigating their own world and what it is they truly want. And I think that our work together really helps you get in tune with yourself and what you actually want. Like, no, you don't actually want that pair of shoes. What you want is the feeling that goes with those shoes is you want to feel XYZ. And that's like that psychology behind it is really helpful for me to interpret characters and vice versa. I think I have a really good, like vivid imagination just from doing all of this stuff and the breathing and connecting with myself, I think helps me connect with, like a future self character that is myself in the future. But yeah, so I think I answered the question.
Yeah, you totally did.
Okay.
And it brought up another example that you had shared one time. You know, there was one time and you were like, it was sort of like you wanted to force learning your lines or force learning, you know, it was like, I got to get this memorized. And we talked about like, wait till it's inspired. And so do you want to tell that story a little bit?
Yeah, I was understudying Mary and Mary Poppins, and that it's like a big icon. Anyway, you can put all the stories you want on it. It's a role. And I just was like, it was the first time I had ever understudied a part and I was feeling self-conscious about how to navigate it. Anyway, I don't know. I just was telling you, like, I haven't felt inspired to do this and I've been trying, like forcing it and none of them are sticking and I don't like the lines aren't sticking. I can't get her blocking right. Blocking is like the movement you do on stage. And you said to trust and wait for inspiration to hit. And I don't remember if it was like one day or 2 days or something, but I got like all of her lines memorized in like 3 hours, and it was done.
It's amazing.
Got it. And the same thing happened with the show I'm in now. I'm only understudying. I don't have a role in the show. So like I never got stage time to practice any of it with the director. Right. And like all the other actors have run the show 4 to 5 times. So they basically have the lines memorized. So it was basically all up to me. And I just like never felt inspired to do it until one day before rehearsal. I spent 5 hours in the living room just running all of one of the characters' stuff. And I get to rehearsal that day and she was super sick and I had to get up and sing for her. And it was like, wow, I was inspired just in the nick of time to get her done. And what's so great is that role is done. Like I have it in my brain. I've touched it a couple times. Like I've listened to the lines again and I've been like, oh, I still have this. I don't need to it's done.
Oh, that's awesome. How does that feel?
It's so cool. And I just feel like it's normal. I mean, like yeah. And the other role, I'm starting to feel like I haven't been inspired yet to nail that role down yet. So yeah. I'm curious to see if it ever happens. I mean, at this point we're halfway through the run and they're both super healthy. I don't even know if I'll ever go on for her. So
it's so awesome, right? Because there's this one version of you that could be super stressed, super like, I got to memorize every line, forcing it, spending all this time. And then there's this version of you who's learned how to trust. And like, it's cool because you don't have to invest time. It's super cool because you don't have to invest time in what might not be. I mean, I love that you're like, yeah, maybe I'll do it, maybe I won't, but like you can almost trust like I'll be inspired and I'll know if and when, and if not, like you haven't invested that time. You've invested that time in being other things and being your future self.
Yeah, and that was truly the time when I realized that like time is abundance as well, and like your effort is abundance, and
yes,
trusting that instinct to work when it's time, when it's right to work for your future self and you. I think that, you work smarter, not harder in the end.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's go ahead.
People say that all the time, but then they end up still just working harder. So like, and it looks different for every person. And it's funny. There's 2 of us are swings for this show. So it's the 2 of us learning 5 roles. She has 3 roles to learn. And it's funny to see how differently we handle it, and how she's done it like for other shows. So she has her own system, but how I was like, oh, I only spent like 5 hours and I'm like done.
Right? Which in like makes your overall what you get paid more.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, right. Because the number of hours for like related to what you get paid. Yeah. It's awesome.
Yeah. I love it. Abundance is totally effort and time as well. I love that you highlighted that. So any other advice that you would give anyone listening, maybe to actors?
To just trust your own process and what feels good to you. And as actors, we usually are trained to know about feelings and what you're working towards and what you want, and just to trust yourself. And I think in the acting world, there can be a lot of, I don't want to tell that story.
I love it. I love that you gave a real life example of like, oh, nope, actually, I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to perpetuate that story because it's not your story and it's not one you want in the world, right?
Right. Yeah. Just trust yourself and trust your instincts. And and like with theater, you're trained to like go with instincts every like in your scene. And improv, like it's all on instincts. That is 100% instincts. And with like scripted stuff, you're using your instincts within parameters. And I don't know if our work is more like improv based or like scripted based, because you do have like one certain thing you're going towards. So those instincts are bringing you towards that one thing. oh my gosh, I'm getting real nerdy here. Do you want me to continue?
Yeah, keep going. I love it.
Because like in a play or a script, you have an overall objective to get to that point. Like if your objective is to rule the world or something, I don't know. And so all of your instincts within that character are bringing you closer towards conquering the world, or I don't know, owning the world or whatever. So like if so I feel like your future self is your final objective for this chunk of your play, because you can sort of break down objectives in a play or a scene. Like you can break down objectives per sentence, really. You can tons of them. So I think it relates a little bit more to a scripted scene or play. And we are all actors. What is that Shakespeare quote?
Yeah. I know, I don't know it, but you're right. Like that's exactly what it is, right?
Yeah. And so trust your instincts, because we are instinctual beings.
Yes. I love it. And I think it's, this just popped into my head, so I'll share it. It's like, it is scripted at the end, but it's my favorite, as a kid, was always like, I loved Heritage Square. So it was scripted, right? Like A Christmas Carol, the script. But then there was these moments that they got to improvise, right? Where something would happen and they got to follow those instincts. And I think that is like our future self is that scripted, that moment, that objective, but then sometimes other things come on scene.
Right. And that's like when you trust your instincts.
Yes. Yeah.
Or even like when in a performance, if something happens on stage and like other actors need to kind of pick up the pieces, get the plot back on track, you sort of trust your instincts in those moments. You trust that you've done enough work on this character that you know how they would respond and react.
Yes, I love that, which goes back to sort of the beginning that we talked about. Does she think this? Does she do this? Does she believe this?
Right. And I think the work we do with you is us building that character and building our trust in that we know that character and can trust our instincts. Yeah.
And navigate the world as
yes.
Yes. Oh, I love it. This was so much fun. Thank you so much, Vicki. This was an amazing interview. And thank you all for listening. Make sure to come back and check out Vicki's next Year of Growth interview in her Year of Awesome. I love it. I am totally, because this is your second series, I'm totally titling it that.
Yes.
Yes. Love it. Thank you. And thank you all. And we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you for joining us on the Law of Attraction, Manifesting Success Stories show. To learn how to identify your current money story, go to identifyyourmoneystory.com.